Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome at this info session on the Heat Pump Accelerator Platform. I see we have quite some participants already. We had more than 100 registered, so I'll wait maybe a little bit. In the meantime, I can already just start by introducing myself. I'm Josephine van Beeselare. I'm Head of EU Affairs at the European Heat Pump Association. I'll have another look. Yeah. I can also already announce that we will be recording this session because not everyone could join at this moment, but there were people also interested that could not join, so we will make the slides and the recording available afterwards. Okay, I see still people are joining, but it's now 1 minute past 2, so I suggest we just go ahead and they can always look again at the recording if needed. So again, welcome to this info session on the Heat Pump Accelerator Platform. It's really great to see that there's so much interest in this initiative. It's an initiative from the European Commission, and for that reason, we are also very happy that Silvia Recessi from DG Energy from the European Commission can join us to give an introduction to the Heat Pump Accelerator Platform from the Commission's perspective. You can see my slides. It's a question, or can you see them?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay, then I will just go to the voila. So then I'm happy to give the floor to Silvia for the introduction from the side of the Commission.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Josephine, and the whole consortium around this project for inviting me and for having me here today. My name is Silvia Rezici. I'm a policy officer at the Energy Efficiency in Buildings and Products unit of DG Energy of the European Commission. And maybe with some of you who are virtually present today, we have met in different contexts, as I have been over the last year and a bit more, consulted extensively with stakeholders on how to accelerate the rollout of heat pumps in buildings, in industry, and in district heating. I don't think this will come to any surprise. The interest of the Commission in the topic and the commitment to decarbonized heating and cooling via heat pumps in different applications, but also the deployment of heat pumps in the building sectors, in industry and in district heating as a way to wean us off Russian fossil fuels, but also as a way to make citizens part of the decarbonization journey in an affordable, convenient, and acceptable manner, basically. So I think that cumulatively here there is more than sufficient expertise and knowledge on what are the barriers that are stopping the faster rollout of heat pumps, including still relatively still high upfront costs, and in many countries unfavorable electricity to gas price ratio, shortage of installers, and very importantly, complex customer journey that discourages people. So, but also things like leaky buildings, slow uptake, and lack of valorization of flexibility services. Access to data, insufficient digitalization, and other elements and barriers that are, I believe, well known. These are the problems. We are also aware of solutions that are offered via the European Energy Legislative Framework. What we are less aware is, or not always fully grasping the full complex picture at national, regional, local level. And this is indeed one big added value of the heat pump accelerator platform, which forms part of a larger project called Heat Pump Support Action that is managed by the consortium organizing the meeting today, the Vito, EHPA, and Fraunhofer. Basically, the idea is to bring all relevant actors in the platform, to bring all relevant actors together, to get all hands on deck, not only from the manufacturer side, not only from the energy sector, but very importantly from the energy sector, including people working on building renovation, including network operators, regulators, but also importantly financial institutions, because it is clear that public financing or public sources of financing alone are insufficient to surmount the decarbonization challenge. So what are better vehicles, better ways to reach out and draft in or to get on board also private financing, and importantly, stakeholders such as important stakeholders involved in training, education, and scaling up the skills, scaling up actions to plug in the skills gap, and as well as inform the research and innovation agenda. So I think I would stop here because you have an hour to go through, I presume, quite some information to get questions and move on with the call for expression of interest. I'm really happy and remain hopeful that good information and solid intelligence will come out from the platform, and that will be also useful in policy making, but also will help us get better data, better decision making in the context of energy policy, as well as competitiveness, affordability, research and innovation policy. So thank you very much. Back to you, Josephine.
Thank you, Sylvia. So as said before, so it's an initiative by the European Commission, but it's carried out by a consortium of 3 partners, as Sylvia also explained. And the 3 partners are Vito, Fraunhofer, and European Heat Pump Association. So we will now briefly introduce each of them and say a bit what the role is in the project of each of them. And I would start with Vito, which is the project coordinator. So for that, I would hand the floor to Bright Adia from Vito.
Thank you, Josephine. Unfortunately, my camera is not functioning, but my name is Bright Adia, and I have the honor to work with this consortium, with EHPA and Fraunhofer. I work as a project manager for Vito. Vito is actually short for Flemish Institute for Technological Research. That's a research center of more than 1,000 scientists and project managers. We have more than 30 years of scientific expertise, and we have our headquarters based in Belgium. And I'm very much looking forward to work with you, all of you, in the coming years.
Thank you, Bright. So next to Vito, we also have Fraunhofer. The people from Fraunhofer could not join the call today because of an important meeting with the minister. But Fraunhofer really has a lot of expertise in R&D, also in laboratory work on renewable energy, and they will be mainly responsible for the whole research, development, and innovation part of the work under this project. And then the third partner is European Heat Pump Association, for which I work myself. So I'm there, the head of EU affairs. And we have a lot of expertise on everything related to heat pump policies, regulation, and also data on the heat pump market. We also have a lot of expertise on European projects related to heat pumps and reaching out to stakeholders and so on. So you really see that these 3 partners are very complementary, in their skills and expertise to lead this project. So on the next slide here, you can see the full overview of the whole project. As Sylvia mentioned, the whole project is called Heat Pump Support Action, and it's a project that runs over 3 years. And the key part, or one of the central parts of the whole project, is this Heat Pump Accelerator Platform, on which we organize actually the call today. And this is really the group of stakeholders that we want to gather to also feed into the other parts, mainly the task 2, 3, and 4 in yellow that you can see here. So this group of stakeholders will have to, should also feed into helping us to monitor and assess heat pump data across the 27 member states, also to get a full overview of the different policy frameworks at national level, the training programs and the competitiveness of the sector, and then also help us to assess research, innovation and development needs across all areas, because in the project it's really the intention to cover the whole heat pump sector, so from individual to multifamily to commercial to district heating and cooling and to industrial heat pumps, so really all types of heat pumps. And then at the end of the project, there's also the aim to continue this, because it's a project of 3 years, but we aim to also continue this work afterwards to see how this can become self-sustainable. So that's really the whole project. And now we will zoom in into this first part, this Heat Pump Accelerator Platform. So what is the aim of this platform? The aim is to really bring together, to build a coalition of committed stakeholders, and this should go quite wide. So from policymakers, from all EU member states to also industry experts, but not also, as Sylvia already mentioned, not only the usual suspects, so to say, so not only heat pump manufacturers, but also other industries. For example, just thinking about the regulators, utilities, the financial institutions, and so on. So really the aim is to have a very broad view on all aspects related to heat pumps, and where there are still gaps to fill, where there are really best practices to share, and so on. So with this group, we would forge partnerships, but also track policy and market trends. So look at heat pump deployment data, policy developments, market conditions, and so on. Align strategies, really also link these different sectors. So link the energy industry, finance and training sector to really have a coherent overview. Also, when we see that, for example, certain discussions, I'm just thinking on flexibility and how to reward flexibility, that heat pumps offer. For example, if these already take place among certain utilities, but then also among certain regulators, why we should align those and put those together and really look at best practices and expertise together. Tackle barriers, of course. Maybe in some, it's affected in some countries. Heat pump adoption is much more advanced than in others. Why is this the case? What are the best practices that can be shared? That's a key aim as well. And then, of course, also to shape future research and innovation. Who should be in this platform? So the aim is to have at least 40 members, but probably more, that we'll have to see, but at least 40, and that it's really a varied set of relevant stakeholders. And this variation should be, first of all, geographically. So we really want to ensure that we represent across the EU, so across all 27 member states. So the aim is really to give a full overview of heat pump deployment of the data, but also the policy frameworks in these 27 member states. Look at what works, what doesn't work, why, how can we replicate certain things, and so on. And to also really have a balanced representation of the different target groups. So, as I mentioned, national and regional authorities or energy agencies, industrial actors. So again, not only the manufacturers, but also really the industrial consumers, for example, also consumer groups, research institutes and civil society, installers and contractors, utilities, regulators and network operators, financial institutions, educational and training institutions. So that's the main ones we identified, but we don't want to limit it. Of course, we will have to look at those who apply, and then also see there might be other very relevant stakeholders that we did not list here yet. But also when selecting the members, we have certain percentages per group so that it's really balanced. So it should not happen that there's an overrepresentation of a certain group, so that we really pool this varied expertise together. Then the structure of the platform. So the aim is to have a general group which should define the topics for position papers. And maybe I should go back a little bit. So here in this orange box at the top, you can see, so as I said, it's a project over 3 years. And over this 3 years, there will be 9 platform meetings. And the aim is to come up with 3 position papers. So in the general group, so in the platform, there the topics for the position papers should be defined. So mainly, as a group, we should identify what are really the most pressing issues for an accelerated heat pump rollout, and prioritize those and decide to write papers on those 3 topics. And then in the general group, it's also important to really have a diverse perspective. And then depending on the issues that are identified, we will build also task forces based on the specific topics of interest of members. So when you apply for the platform, you will see that you can already indicate what is your specific interest, and based on those interests, we will then rank the interests and see what topics are of most interest and should be the basis of certain task forces. And in these task forces, of course, the discussions will go more into depth, more detailed, to look into more complex topics. A question that I'm quite sure that will arise is, what is the complementarity with the work of the European Heat Pump Association? Well, of course, the European Heat Pump Association gathers already a large part of the heat pump sector, but there I would say it's the usual suspects. So it's the manufacturers, the research institutes, the national associations, also some consultancies and utilities and so on. But here, the aim of the platform is really to be complementary with the work that is already being done within EHPA, and to really reach further and bring in other perspectives as well. As said, those of the financial institutions, those of regulators, of training installers, and so on. So it's really the aim to extend this and also to involve policymakers and national energy agencies and so on. To make sure that the work that, of course, at EHPA, logically, we are already working on heat pump data and heat pump policy papers and so on. So the aim is not to do double work. Of course, it should be complementary. So we might invite people that are in the platform also to report to the EHPA committees and task forces, and vice versa. So also maybe if a topic that comes up in the platform has already been extensively discussed within HPA or within another association, these people could also become guest contributors to certain discussions within the platform, to ensure that it's complementary work and not doubling what has already been done. Then the key activities of the platform are, of course, to share insights, experiences, best practices, barriers, and solutions for the accelerated heat pump rollouts. As I said, there should be 9 meetings, so 3 per year, and 3 position papers. So in the more detailed text of the proposal, we have indeed these 3 position papers, but this can be seen a bit flexible. If we identify three main topics and we see there's a need to divide them in certain subtopics, that we can have certain sub-papers on these bigger topics as well. So it's not that fixed, I would say. And we should map and improve market data policy packages, training programs, competitiveness of the sector, and then also research, innovation, and development. In the first meeting, one of the key things we will have to do is really, as I said before, to identify the 3 most pressing barriers for heat pump deployment, and then decide to go ahead with position papers to address these. I just listed some examples, from, the experience in the past years and months on or working on this topic. So this could, for example, be the consumer journey, affordability, how to finance heat pumps, training, can we improve that, certain business models such as heat as a service, why is this working in certain countries, not working in others, how can we improve the flexibility from heat pumps and rewarding that. So it's also topics that Sylvia has mentioned, and these are some that logically come up, but for sure, it can go much wider. It can be something completely different as well. That's why we are asking for your interest or your specific interest in the form when you apply. And that's also why we have the platform to discuss these and to really identify what is most pressing. So why should you participate? Some benefits. So if you want to learn how other countries and sectors accelerate the heat pump rollout, if you want to network and also get access to the most relevant heat pump stakeholders, also including the Commission, if you want to include heat pumps in your business, but you face certain barriers and you want to overcome these, if you want to share or learn best practices on heat pump rollout from your unique angle, your unique expertise, and also if you want to align with other sectors to accelerate the heat pump rollout more efficiently. For example, you want to include heat pumps in your business, but you would like to look at which type of financing is available, or you have a suggestion how this could be improved. It's a good way, to be, if you're part of the coalition, to get in touch also with these financial institutions and to collaborate to set up new ways of financing and contributing to this. There's a website set up on the Heat Pump Accelerator platform. You have the link here. So once you get the slides afterwards, you can access. Also, maybe one of my colleagues can put the link in the chat as well. So there you will find all the info. This is the public page. There will also be an internal page or a group for only the members of the platform to collaborate and to work together. And then the next steps. So by the 24th of November, we asked to apply for membership of the Heat Pump Accelerator platform. Then after that, we will, with the consortium and also with the Commission, we will select the members of the platform. I said at least 40. And then on the 30th of January 2025, we will have the first platform meeting hosted by the Commission. And as said, the aim is to have, or we should have 3 meetings per year, to get all the deliverables required and the position papers. So that was my presentation. Here you can find also the link to apply. You also have the QR code to apply. It's maybe a bit shorter than foreseen, but I think I covered the main and the most important aspects and what you need to know. But of course, now we still have a lot of time for Q&A. So I would suggest to open already for questions and answers, unless one of the other partners or one of my colleagues want to add something, maybe something I forgot or something relevant they would miss from my presentation. So please go ahead. No? No colleagues want to add anything? Okay, then I think we can open for questions. I'm just looking and I do not see anything in the chat yet or in the Q&A. Also nothing. So then I would say if there's any questions, you can raise your hand. And I see then already one hand from Rory McKevitt, if I say this correctly. Rory, if you want to speak, you can. Otherwise, you can also type it in the chat. No, your hand is up. So, okay. Then not. Then we have a question now in the chat from Jack Larson. Is this only open to companies based in the 27 member states? I would say the intention is really to look at the 27 member states. So at least you should have, some business or interest in the 27 member states, because it's really the aim to accelerate the rollout there. I'm not sure, maybe one of my colleagues knows if we ask this in the application form, like where are you based? I'm not entirely sure of that detail. So if someone can add to that, please do.
Yeah, it's inquired.
Okay. So
yes, indeed. We ask about what's the area of influence.
okay, so it's required to be based in an EU member state. Okay. Okay, then we have a hand from, yeah, still the one from Rory. So I would say if you want to speak, you can, but no. Okay, then we have Marco Gripa. Hello. Marco?
Yeah. Can you hear me? I cannot
Yes.
activate my camera though, but that's fine, I would say.
We hear you well.
Great. Thanks, Josephine, for the presentation. One very small question about the position paper. I assume that this once every year, but what is going to be the content? Is going to be approaching the market or the policy, or do you have something in mind for the target of those 3 papers? Thank you.
Well, as I said, the aim is, of course, to identify together with the group what are the most pressing issues. On this slide here, I put already some things that, of course, we know that are some barriers, and that also Sylvia has mentioned, but it's not limited to this. It's really what we will really pull from the group, because it's also the aim that we look into maybe member states that were not that active on heat pumps so far, or, for example, these financial institutions or the regulators, that they raise new issues that we haven't been looking at so far. So don't want to limit it too much at this stage. It's really the aim also of the first meeting to identify the issue. So it's quite open. Okay. Are there any other questions? Yes, Christiana. I see a hand up from Christiana Papazari. You can speak, or if you prefer, you can also type it.
Otherwise,
No.
Josephine, we have question in the chat if you want also that we can look at it.
Ah, yes. Okay, I
Seems
see.
easier.
Yeah, okay, let's go through the chat. So maybe it's easier indeed if now you write your questions then in the chat, so we don't have two channels mixed. So Benjamin Kloos is writing, I'm curious to hear how much emphasis you will place on heat pumps for industry versus other sectors. Well, it's very important. Also it was in the project tender from the Commission that we really look at all types of heat pumps, all types of applications, and that's also what's highlighted. It should be both industry, residential, commercial, district heating and cooling. So this should be very balanced. That's really the aim. We should not give a lot of attention to only one. No, it really should be balanced on all types and applications of heat pumps. Do you have already an indication for our first brainstorming on which topics would it be the 3 papers? Yeah, that's what I mentioned. So of course we have some ideas of, we have been working on heat pumps for a long time, and we have some also outlined what we think are the main barriers, but that's not the aim of the platform. The aim is exactly to look at external views, to draw in other expertise, and to really build on that. So I would say here are some suggestions, and from the service to apply for the platform, we will look at other suggestions that have been given, and on the basis of that we will list those in the first meeting, and then have a brainstorm and a decision on what will be those topics. But for now it's quite open. The costs associated to platform presence, there are no costs. No, this is really, it's free. It's it's no one, you should not pay. No. So this should be very clear. It's really, we want really a lot of people to apply, and then so that we can really make this balanced selection, balance on geographically and on expertise and different types of stakeholders. And also, you can be on the reserve list if we have selected the group and some people decide to leave, maybe that others can join, or we see that we lack a certain expertise, we can still have other people joining as well. So here another question, if a company can join from outside Europe. So as said by my colleague Irene, so this is not the aim. It's really, you have to be present in one of the 27 member states. But the outcome of the project, of the position papers, the data, and so on, will be publicly available on this website. So yeah, it's not because you are not in the platform itself that you cannot get access to the outcomes. Not at all. So yeah. As to the objective on tracking policies that impact heat pump deployment at the national level, do we have any immediate overview on the shared and differing challenges that different countries are facing? Yeah, of course, within the European Heat Pump Association, and I'm sure also, for example, in Vito, we have been doing work on looking into what works well in certain countries, what does not work well. For example, I know Vito has been doing an analysis of the national energy and climate plans. We, from the other hand, at the European Heat Pump Association, we have been looking at which subsidy systems are available in which countries, why, how they work, do they work well and do they not work well. But the aim of the platform is, to build further on that and really to get, a more complete overview of what challenges exist in different countries, to see also if there's same challenges in different countries, how have they been tackled successfully, what can be taken as a best practice and also applied in other countries, for example. Another question is if we can share the presentation. Yes, we will both share the presentation and also the recording, because this session is being recorded. And then Christiana wrote that her micro is deactivated, so please then type your question in the chat. Then a question on how many company members can sign up for the platform. If I understand your question correctly, so yeah, it's quite open. Everyone can apply, but then we will select with the consortium and the commission a group of at least 40, maybe a bit more platform members. So it's really open. But if you mean people from within one company, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Irene and Bright, that one person from a company can apply, but it's not the intention that there's different applications from different people within one company, right?
Correct.
So would be one application per organization or company. Then the next question is, what are the main differences versus the EHPA membership? Yeah, that's what I also put here in this slide. So it's really the aim that it's complementing each other. So EHPA, so the European Heat Pump Association, we have as members mainly heat pump and component manufacturers, research institutions, national associations, and then some consultancies and utilities as well. But here we really want to broaden, or the aim is also of the Commission to really broaden this further and to bring in other expertise outside of this usual suspects of the usual heat pump sector, so financial institutions, also policymakers, national regulatory authorities, also energy agencies, looking at also installers, training and education institutes. So it's really should be complementary and really a broader group. So then the question from Christiana, when you state map and improve research and innovation, is this about funding the actual research and development? So the aim is here, that's that's task 3 and 4 here on this slide. So the aim there is really to look at what is currently being done on research, innovation and development for heat pumps across these 5 heat pump areas. So for individual buildings, multifamily buildings, commercial heating and cooling networks and industrial heat pumps, to really look at what is being done and what are still the gaps, and then to propose a way forward to develop a roadmap to fill these gaps and to also give input to the set plan. It's not about funding, no, but colleagues, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, another question. Have you considered to scale up the accelerator to a demo level to showcase best practices on heat pump deployment in different contexts, geographies? Maybe a question for the Commission. I think that's a very good example or a very good suggestion. I think also when we look at, if we have position paper, let's say on the consumer journey, and that it's too much of a hassle for a consumer, it should be made much easier. If we have there a good demonstrations or good show or good cases in certain countries where this works well, or maybe good business models of installers or one-stop shop, I think we can include them as recommendation or examples in the papers, or maybe have them also speaking at the meetings to explain how it works. So yeah, I think that's a very good suggestion to add. Then there's a question on what are the next steps once the project is finalized after 3 years. The main issues have been identified and the data updated. What will be done with the output of this work to implement it? Well, it's actually what Sylvia mentioned in the beginning. The aim is also to feed into the Commission, but also into the national policymakers and administrations and energy agencies. So of course, it's not just, we don't do this just to do this. It should be implemented properly. It could feed into policy work for the Commission if they see, okay, a clear action can be done to overcome this barrier. If this is a recommendation in one of the papers, this could be taken up by the Commission. Or a lot of the things, the barriers are also at national level, specifically, for example, on training or on like electricity to gas price ratio, for example, pricing. That's often something where action is needed at national level. So if we have there clear national recommendations, that's then should be taken up at national level. And we could also work together with national associations, for example, and the national partners that are in the coalition to really bring then those recommendations to the right people and to advocate to have them implemented as well. That's for sure the aim. Otherwise, it's not just to have the theory there, but to do something with it. Someone else asked a similar question, and what will be made when the task will be done? Yeah, so for sure here, task 5, you see the continuity of the platform. So the aim is to continue also after the 3 years, to continue to have the evolution of the policy frameworks. If new subsidies come out in certain countries, if new measures come out, that we keep adding that to this knowledge, and also the data that we keep adding in some way. But this is still to be developed. That's at the later stage in the project. And how to be sure there will be a result? Well, we can have a result with a project. We can have clear recommendations and outcomes, and then it's up to policymakers to implement them. And I would say up to all of you and up to all of the members of the platform to also advocate at different levels to have them implemented, and also up to the project partners, to do that. Yes, someone asks, will it include residential heat pumps also, or is the focus on buildings, industry and district heating? So it's really, as you see here under this task 3, it's individual buildings, multifamily buildings, commercial buildings, heating and cooling networks, and industrial heat pumps. So really, really broad, all types of heat pumps. And then someone asked how the topic of thermal energy storage that you have on another webinar links into the accelerator platform. Well, I think this is maybe a topic for the research, innovation and development. Mapping, first of all, to see what is already being done there. What are still gaps for research, innovation and development, and then to develop a roadmap to go further into this. So I see certainly a place for that, but more in that area. So I think Melanie has offered, has given a lot of replies already. And then Patrick is asking, also including air-to-air heat pumps. Yes, yeah, we didn't put all the types of heat or applications and types just now. Yeah, the applications in industry, individual, multifamily, but yes, all types of heat pumps are included. That's really very clear. Okay, I see a hand.
It's me. So you have more questions in the Q&A aspects, in the Q&A part. There are 5 more questions, but some of them have been already covered there.
Okay. So I see indeed. So we have a question from Diana. Will there be a focus on the integration of heat pumps into heat networks or integration with renewable energies in the home or industry? Well, I think that's a very relevant question, and that's could be, for example, one of these most pressing issues, that they should be better integrated. I think that's really a point of discussion, for example, for the first meeting, where we would identify this is really something that's still underdeveloped and where more measures are needed. So that could be, if you apply, indicate this as a key interest, and then we add it to the list and we see, yeah, and how far this is also shared by the other applicants. Yes. Then the second question here has been answered on the thermal energy storage. Then there is a question on the structure of the platform. Can you further explain how tasks will be divided, how they will correlate with each other, and how the partners can contribute to them? Well, on the structure, so yeah, this is quite, how do you say, still to be defined. As said, so we have the general group, and then we'll have task forces. But as said, this will be based on the most pressing issues that are identified by the platform members. So once we have identified those, then we will decide which task force are needed to address those issues. So that will be discussed in the first meeting. Really, the detailed structure and the different content parts, yeah, we are not setting this now. That's really where we want these new perspectives to come in, and on the basis of that, we will decide that structure. So that's really, yeah, something that we are on purpose leaving open for now, because we want to hear first what is the interest from those and the experience, the expertise, and questions from those key new stakeholders. Okay, this question has been answered, and this one as well. Yes, I think I'll look again also at the other chat. Okay. Then Robert Pinter is asking, how important is the involvement of the entire heat pump value chain, such as component manufacturers down to raw materials and EOL recycling? Well, I would say that's very important. We will also want to have the manufacturer's view. Of course, as I put here also in this slide, the heat pump and component manufacturers, many of them are already members of EHPA, but for those that are not yet, and for example, these raw materials and recycling, there we are, there we don't. That's not within, I would say, our usual membership. So I would definitely encourage those companies or organizations to apply, because that's exactly one of those perspectives that we are, that we want to look into as well. And that is something new to add to the discussion. Something that I wanted to also mention is that for the applications, it's of course great if we have also umbrella organizations, that group certain other organizations and companies. So yeah, I would both encourage umbrella organizations, but also specific companies and organizations to apply, because it's not because an umbrella organization is applying that we cannot also put in individual companies. So yeah, both are very welcome. Then someone is saying, the topic of this group reminds the conclusion of the HPA forum in Brussels in September. The heat pump business field is aware about this subject. Is the forum built in the continuity of the HPA forum? I'm not entirely sure if I completely get the question, but the EHPA forum, it's just, so EHPA is an association of the heat pump sector. We organize every year a forum, so an event, a conference, and there we discuss, often what are still the main barriers for heat pump rollout, because of course one of the main aims of the Heat Pump Association is to accelerate the heat pump forum, the heat pump rollout. So it's very logic that certain topics will come back, but this is a separate thing. So the heat pump platform, it's really an initiative by the Commission and the consortium of the European Heat Pump Association, Vito and Fraunhofer, are the ones carrying out this initiative. And then, of course, each of these partners, the European Heat Pump Association, Vito and Fraunhofer, also have their own activities, internal activities, but also events that they organize and so on. But because we are all also individually working on heat pumps, it's very logic that there's some type of overlap, but that should also be seen positive. It's reinforcing, right? It's if the same topics come up everywhere, it's clear that this is a topic to be addressed and to look at. Then Jasper is asking if the 9 meetings we mentioned are meetings of the general group, and in addition to these meetings, there will be specific task force meetings. So again, this has not been set in stone yet, but how we have discussed it would be that we have these 9 meetings, and first there's then a meeting of the general group, and on the same day, or if you say first, I'm just saying something, 2 hours of the general group, and after that you can have 2 hours of one or multiple task forces, depending if these topics come up. It's also not because you are in the platform that you should participate in every task force. It's really the ones that are most in line with your, how do you say, your activities and your interest, and you can participate in those. So the aim is to really group them and to have like a general meeting and in the same line or the same day or moment. Then also the task forces too. Yeah, that was the idea. But I don't know, maybe as a background for you, I'm just back from 5 months maternity leave, so maybe in the meantime some other discussions have come up that I'm not aware of all the details. So if this has been discussed in the meantime, let me know also, colleagues. It could have missed some details as well.
Oh, it's a great answer, Josephine. No more than that. I think we need to see the outcome of this first general meeting.
Okay, thank you. Let's go again to the other chat, the Q&A. Okay, there all the questions have been answered. And in the chat as well. Yeah, okay. Still have this hand up from Christiana, but I saw also a question in the chat that we replied already from you, so I think that should be covered. If there's anything else, you can still raise your hand or write, and otherwise I'm also putting in the slide here the contacts of my colleague Irene, then also Bright from Vito, who's the project coordinator, and then also myself. So if you have more questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And of course, if you go to the website, you will also see there a link, again, to apply. It's the same link as you will see here when you scan this QR code. Okay, I'm gonna go have one more look, but I think we have covered everything and we have replied the questions. Yes. Okay, then I suggest that we end the meeting. It's always good to end a bit earlier than planned. And I want to thank very much the audience for participating and for listening and for your interest. I want to really call upon you to apply. It would be really great, as said, to have a very balanced group, very balanced geographically, but also types of organizations. Thanks a lot to the partners. I think we have been cooperating very smooth. Thanks to my colleagues also, for all the work on this, and to the Commission, for setting this up. Thanks a lot, and I hope to see you all in January in the first meeting. Bye-bye.